Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Hey, the Vince, how's it going, my friend? Greetings and long life to you and to all of you out there who are watching this, because as I've said often, without the audience, I am nothing. Well, no show is anything without its audience. So I thank you for your attention. I appreciate it a great deal. So, today, a lot of people have been talking about the watch marketplace lately, and I normally don't talk about the market, or at least if I do, I try not to talk about it in terms that are very short term. And I was talking about the market a little bit last month when I was doing my predictions for the coming year. HRM, how's it going? Um, and I was doing my predictions for the coming year. Rohit, hey, hey. And I said that this was going to be a buyer's year for watches. We're the market is soft, and because of that softness, and also the economic situation is a little uncertain. So scared money, you don't spend a lot of money on luxuries when you might have taken a big dump with Nvidia stock or something along those lines. Hey, JFD Omega, Damon, Oscar, hey, Tanya. Always nice to see our friends together, and talk about watches and the marketplace and the like. And so, yes, as I was saying, um, the market's a little soft right now. Some of those investors already took a haircut on some of these stocks that have taken a hit because of the instability with AI and all of that other. So I can easily see how the market's a little on the soft side, and that's impacting watch prices at every level. You can really see it because even a place like Chrono 24, where people do quite high asks sometimes, um, you can get a new, well, not or new-ish 126610 Rolex sub for about 12 to 13, and it retails for like 10 and a half, 11. So we're not talking about a significant markup. And some models like the Date Just and the like are selling at retail and can be found at retail lately. So, when you can buy a Rolex at retail relatively easily, the market is soft. HRM, we can find insane deals on Tudors nowadays. FXDs for 2,500. Seen a BB58. Oh, really? A black base sell for 1,800 in the Netherlands. Well, hey, Robert, how's it going, my friend? The Movement Mensch. Hey, how's it going? Happy Sunday. Ernie Mac, Damon, Skylar, Oscar. Well, you're saying, how's it going? Skylar, always nice to see you. Damon, it's easy to buy watches, but very hard to sell. Yep. The Movement Mensch, happy Sunday. Exactly. So, yeah, so to touch on what HRM was saying about deals on Tudors nowadays, that's why I wanted to talk about Tudor and Rolex and the marketplace, because Rolex, like I said, the prices are soft, but even if it's selling for, say, 1,000 under retail used, right? That's not a big hit compared to the 30 to 50 to 80% a lot of watches take just rolling out of the front door. Um, let's see. HRM can also find a Rolex 14060. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Two-liner sub 7,500 euros nowadays. Hey, tap 1999. Well, that's the thing. So, in one sense, 7,900 is cheap. In another sense, those watches didn't cost that to begin with. And when you think about, even like I said, uh, a new ceramic Rolex is about 10 and change. The newer models are still holding their weight. Now, like I said, the Datejust and some of the other models that are not as popular, like Cellini, you could probably Presbyterian them quite far down on a Cellini, because even though they're beautiful watches, they don't have the pull, as it were, of a lot of these other uh, Rolexes. Just like the When you think about that whole aspect of, which Rolexes are hot and which Rolexes are not, and then that whole balance between Rolex and Tudor because, a lot of people forget that, Rolex owns Tudor, and Hans Wilsdorf created Tudor himself specifically to, sell Rolex, case finishing and, um, the qualities of oyster products and the like with off the shelf movements instead of their in-house. At the time, they had an exclusive watch company, movement company that they wound up absorbing over time. But yeah, Hans Wilsdorf wanted to make Tudor a brand that would allow people to get Rolex fit and finish for a lower price point. And now, in a soft market, it's allowing Rolex to dump merchandise also without tarnishing the Rolex name. So Tudors are much easier to come by, and, okay, so they take a little bit of a haircut on the Tudor, but it doesn't impact the value of a Rolex, and Rolex has been trying to shift the market of sports watches away from Rolex because Rolex wants to maintain its image and go upwards in the luxury, status, community, and to say, "Okay, yes, Rolex used to be a good sports watch, um, economical, cost-effective sports watch company, and, now there's Tudor. We're a luxury watch company now. Still getting used to the new, microphone stand and all, but I do like this new Sennheiser. It's a really nice, microphone, and I just bought a new stand for it, so I'm quite pleased with the, result. Let's see, Oscar, the, 14060, M would have to be a used piece. The 126610, that's the current ceramic sub, so you can get that used or new at the present time. The 41 millimeter, which I like a lot. They got the first ceramic bezel had the maxi case or whatever they wanna call it, and I think the lugs were a little on the thick side, and the 41, they increased the lug width to 21 millimeters to thin the lugs down to give it, the proportions like the old, Rolex subs. Nice piece. I do like. In fact, I have it here. I really do like this piece. It's a really nice watch. And I just noticed I knocked over my shot glass. Good thing whiskey is a volatile liquid and that the sub is waterproof. But I should move these from that location. Oh, well, no crying over spilled Tullamore Dew. HRM, the Prince Cellini with the manual one movement and the display case back, super nice solid gold pieces that sell around 70. Really? For 75, I'd think of picking up Cellini with the display case back. That's a beautiful piece. That really is a beautiful watch. And if Rolex is being forced to sell those watches at a discount, then they must be feeling hard times. But then again, they're a nonprofit, so they don't have to make a profit. They just have to get by. I mean, of course, they obviously make a profit. I always thought that's one of the greatest ironies in the world that one of the most capitalistic brands on the planet, Rolex, is actually a charitable trust. Um, but yeah, so as a charitable trust, they just have to make sure that they make ends meet, and allowing Tudor to be both the brand, the design challenge brand, doing cool, interesting things that Rolex doesn't want to risk with their staid design language, and Tudor. In this case, they get to dump inventory and maybe take a little bit of a haircut on the watches, but make enough to keep the doors open. Um, and like I said, Tudor it is fulfilling what Hans Wilsdorf wanted it to be, and it's gone beyond because, now Tudor has their own movements and, has established its own reputation as a brand, and, yes, they are owned by Rolex, and they'll always have, I guess, the Porsche over Audi over Volkswagen kind of, feel from, bigger brothers and sisters in the same, organization, like, Cadillac and, Chevrolet. Rolex and Tudor have a, familial bond. They're part of the same company, but Rolex lets Tudor, do more in a lot of ways than it would or wish to do any risk to its brand, the Rolex brand, in my opinion. Watch Chris. Am I watching the game tonight? Maybe, maybe to see if I stay up late enough. I don't know. Movement Mensch, the new mic setup is good, no blocking me anymore. Yeah, because it used to be kind of big in my face, but I really do like this one. The way with this arm, it positions itself perfectly, and I think it sounds pretty good. And well, so far nobody's complained about it, so I'm thinking it sounds halfway decent. But I really do like this, and Sennheiser makes some very cool stuff, and so I thought, let me go ahead. I really do like my Rode Studio mic, but the adapter was having for USB was having problems, so I figured let me just get myself a dedicated piece. Oh, let's see. Tap, the Rolex Sub is the only watch you need. Yeah, but then what do you wear with a suit? I mean, at least I could would you let me keep my, oyster quartz to wear with a suit? You know, something nice and, elegant looking like that? Isn't that pretty? It's the only other Rolex I currently own. I don't think I'm gonna buy any others, even though this is a buyer's market. Um, I have a outside chance to get my hands on a silver Snoopy at retail, and other than that, there's really nothing that I'm hot to buy right now. So, I good time to save. If you don't know what you wanna buy, save until you decide if you wanna buy something, and if you don't, you can always use the money for something else, but if you do, you, are in business. But you should always save before buying a watch. You should never buy a watch on credit, because, yeah, why pay interest on a luxury anyway? You know, that doesn't make any sense, and the time that you're taking to save up for that, purchase, you can think about, is this really the watch I wanna get? What is there a variation on the watch that I want? Is there maybe another watch that if I saved a little bit longer, I could achieve if I took that extra time to save now that I've saved up half or 3 quarters or even all of it? And then you're like, "Oh, a little bit more, I can get that." It's always, one of the ways that, you can go upwards in your collection and, buy something bigger than you had initially expected because you decided to just save a little bit longer. Tanya, I'm a big fan of Tullamore Dew. I really do like it myself. Fish Head Break Room. Hey, how's it going? I'm very cold on Rolex now based on their actions of the AD. Well, ADs, yeah, a lot of luxury ADs are pretty snotty, not the nicest people, unfortunately. Some are very good, though. I'm now torn between Vacheron Royal Eagle and JLC Master Control. Well, I would go with the JLC Master Control myself. That's in my mind, that's the higher horologically significant watch. I really do think the JLC Master Control um, is a nice piece, or actually any of the JLCs. I used to have a Polaris, and I miss it a little, but I could never find the right strap for that piece. And for that money, you got to love the watch passionately, or you wind up feeling like you wasted money. Or you have something that you don't really like, but it's worth a whole lot, so you might as well keep it in the collection. There's I just, wound up and I had an opportunity to sell it, for more than I, paid for it, so I took that opportunity and moved it on. Although now I'm thinking about getting the Polaris Chrono because that's a beautiful piece. That's really a beautiful piece, the JLC Polaris Chrono. Blue face, I would get. I won't be going Fishhead Break Room says, "I won't be going back to Rolex anytime soon. Won't say never." Never say never. HRM, the Tudor 762 series, the last Prince date day is keeping its value extremely well, actually increasingly, surprisingly. Well, you know, um, it could increase healthily without getting too expensive. It wasn't that expensive to begin with. But yeah, you're going to spend a few thousand to pick up anything, and even any of those old Tudors. I had one of the old Daytona looking Prince something or other, I forget. And but it bothered me that it wasn't a real Daytona. Um, and I really did like I had a, Black Bay with the red bezel. I really did like that, and I kinda missed that. And if I bought another Tudor, I'd get that watch. I'd get a Black Bay with the red bezel because I think that's a sharp looking piece, and it's not trying to be a Rolex, and, it's got a lot of wrist presence. It's a nice watch, well made as well. And now it has the new in-house movement in it as opposed to although the old, ETA movement that because they reworked the ETA movement that went into the Tudor. So in one sense, you could say it was a better movement, because it was based on a much more reliable, uh, base movement and then modified with Rolex, escapement stuff, balance wheel. They replaced the, spring for, the balance wheel and, something about the regulatory mechanism, I believe they also changed in those, they call them the smiley, black bays because the text is in a curve, whereas all the new ones with the, in-house movement have, straight text on the face. Let's see. HRM Rolex is also shutting down Buchara. Really? Very sad news for watch enthusiasts that wanted an affordable peripheral movement. They're shutting down. Well, I guess they're not shutting down the stores. They're shutting down the brand. Well, maybe that's one of the reasons that Buchara was open to get bought by Rolex because they recognized that they didn't have the stomach for competing in the high end watch business anymore, and probably their best watchmakers will get absorbed by Rolex or go off on their own and do something more interesting. Hopefully, that'd be cool. You know, sometimes you have people jumping ship from a company and starting their own businesses, and sometimes that can revolutionize an industry. In the electronics industry, for example, a lot of engineers jumped ship when, Tyco bought I forget it was I think it was Tyco, but somebody Lucent, and, a lot of Lucent engineers jumped ship and started the, digital power, uh, electronics revolution. Um, you can have a lot of interesting things going on, or think about animation, how some animators jump out of one shop and then start their own business and, do really well with themselves, so let's hope that some of these, Buchara watchmakers, go on to bigger and better things, because they made some really nice watches. They really did. Buchara is the kind of watch you buy if you want something well made, but you don't want everybody to know what you got on your wrist. You know, really nice stuff. The movement mentioned, I think you should only buy on credit. If you die, you win. Okay, that's cute. Oh, Fish Head Break Room. I agree with on the Polaris. It is a beautiful piece. Tap. Patek 6119R is my next watch. Hopefully they fall at 22,000 in the secondary market. Well, like I said, it is a soft market, although Patek is a strong brand. So what I would wager is, the prices you'll if you show up with cash, you might be able to, negotiate a lower price because then they don't have to give the credit card companies any money, or bank transfer fees or whatever, Always pay your taxes, though. Ask Wesley Snipes. But yeah, if you buy on credit, if you die, you win. But that's only if you die like right away. Then what's the fun of having the nice watch? Because if you live longer than a year, you'll regret the interest rates. But yeah, Tap. I hope you get that Patek. That'd be nice. Uh Fish Head Break Room. Lovely, just don't love it. No, I get that. Nanad. Hey, Nanad, how's it going? I have a love-hate relationship with the Rolex. Tudor is holding a price quite well. I'm interested in a Tag Heuer Carrera chronograph 39 millimeter. Well, that's another nice thing about Tudor for people who hate Rolex and they say, well, let me get a Tudor. Rolex owns Tudor. Um, the Tag Heuer Carrera, that's a nice chrono. I had the Carrera 2 Skeleton GMT chrono. I missed that piece too. That's another watch I might, if I ever come across one at a reasonable price, I might buy one of them because Tag Heuer, um, it has this stigma of being a cheap Swiss watch, and, I don't get it. I mean, yes, they've got some, more mainstream pieces, but, even some, quartz, um, there's nothing wrong with, any of those watches, and they give you good value for money if you think about it, and the Carrera are great mechanical movements and really nicely designed pieces. Tag Heuer's nice stuff. And like I said, I do miss my Carrera too, I do. It was a nice, really nice watch, and striking, a lot of wrist presence too. Wound up selling it to my brother-in-law. He's an anesthesiologist, and he's uh, he I think he finally finished his classes, so I guess he's a private pilot as well, and that's why he wanted a GMT watch, and so I sold him the, Tag. It's a nice piece, it really is a nice piece. Skeleton too, but it's not skeleton in a way that's, like, really rubbing it in your face that, "Wow, look at all the gears." It's skeleton. Um, it's almost as if the mechanism is then just a very textured face on the watch. Pardon me. Um, Fish head break room. What's the top watch I'd buy around 100K? I'd buy, a Laterer, with one of their really nice, pieces, maybe one of their daily wear, because they don't really have a sports watch, but, they've got a double, remontoire in there. So it's not just a well-made watch. It also has some very advanced horology in it to be very accurate for a mechanical piece. And they've even got Laterer's even got observatory qualified pieces still in their lineup. So if I had that kind of money, I would buy that kind of watch. I'm not. I like an AP, let's say an AP Royal Oak, right, in white gold. To me, that's almost too much watch. I wouldn't feel that comfortable. I don't hang out in places, that, I the average person in the bar, was wearing something of that, caliber, as it were. In my mind, that, having the most expensive watch at the bar kind of makes you a target in one sense. And in another, you feel a little out of place, like you're over flexing or something. Um, if I had that kind of money, I would rather buy something that really has some workmanship in it, that really has some horology in it, but is not necessarily screaming, "I'm an expensive watch" at the top of its lungs. The nice thing about a well-made watch, or anything well-made, in fact, is the closer you look, the more you see. With something that's not as well made, you get to a certain point and you start seeing the flaws the closer you look. With something that's really well made, you got to look really close before you start seeing things like tool marks and errors and things of that nature. Something that's hand polished and inspected under a microscope and done by a master watchmaker is usually going to look really good at any magnification. And that's the nice thing about a well made watch, a really nice piece of horology. Or frankly, for that kind of money, I would buy maybe a couple of more watches and add it to, or maybe, yeah, I don't know. For that kind of money, you could buy 3 really, really good watches, you know, um, or 5 very, very good watches. And that's a lot of money to spend on a watch. That's almost a year's salary, when you think about, and for some people, it's more than a year's salary, right? That's a lot of money to spend on a watch. But if I had that kind of money, yeah, I would buy something really, awesome from a horological point of view, because that I would wanna wear it with a suit someplace nice, at that point. My daily wear stuff, I mean, I love, wristwatch check. I love my, Breitling Navitimer, and to some people, this is an expensive watch, but to some, it's a nice knock around beater or something. But I really do like this piece, and I have it on the factory rubber strap. You see, it spells out Breitling, which at least is relatively subtle about that. So it doesn't scream. They used to have an older version of this rubber strap that the Breitling was really deeply embedded in the molded into the rubber of the strap, and it was very obviously spelling out Breitling from a distance. I'm glad they kind of toned it down, but I like the color of the strap, and it's rugged, and it goes very well with the piece, and it is the factory rubber. So, um, kosher for those who are purists about that kind of thing. Hmm. Eric, what were you gonna say? Oh, here we go. I'll get down to that. Let's see. Tap should have kept the Hoyer name. They have a racing sports pedigree. Well, they actually have started to do limited release pieces with Hoyer only, not tag Hoyer on them. They've started doing that. So there are still some Hoyer only marked pieces out there for sale, new or relatively new, that you can get your hands on. So I think they recognize that as well. But they also have their own pride, and they want to put their company name in it. And Tag Heuer, it doesn't sound bad. Kind of, has a good ring to it. Probably had some branding people look at it. Who knows? Eric, yes. By the way, hello, hello. If I didn't say hi earlier, I wish the Black Bay chronograph was a little thinner. Well, that's the problem with chronographs are a complex mechanism anyway, a movement in a chronograph, and depending on how that chronograph is made, some are modular. You've got a regular watch, a chronometer module, and then on top of it, there's a chronograph module, the stopwatch part of it, but not the Black Bay. The Black Bay is a single integrated, stopwatch watch movement, but it is not an easy thing to make, and they tend to be thick unless you put a lot of effort into them. Like, I think the JLC Polaris Chrono is one of the thinnest out there, and it's like 11 and change or so, 12 thick, but most are 15 millimeters thick. Some are even thicker, but it's not unusual to have a 15, 16 millimeter thick chrono. Not at all. Um, but also how it's made, how the case is designed, they want to make sure that it's nice and water resistant. So it's going to maybe have a little bit thicker, more robust case, which adds thickness to the design, things of that nature. It's got to maintain a bezel or something. I don't know. Maybe the mechanism they want in there adds half of a millimeter or something. It all adds up. Everything you do to the case adds up to the case thickness. Let's see. Not much thickness maneuver for a diver chronograph. Well, but that's the thing. It is a diver, and divers by definition tend to be robust because they've got to be tough, you know. Um, but then again, the Tudor is a sports watch brand. They do make some daily wear and dress pieces, but not as many as they make sports models. Then Rolex wants you to go buy a Cellini. Oh, fish at break room. I have an occasion to mark. Ooh, there you go. Then yeah, I would say get something really classy. And if you wanted to like if you really wanted a Rolex, get a get drop. Well, you can get a lot of Rolex for 100K. At that point, I would jump up. I would get Patek or like I said, AP. The Royal Oak is a little loud to me. Vacheron, I would go with the Vacheron Constantin, but again, I would go with that at that level of money, I'd go with a suit piece because, I would the kind of places that I would feel comfortable wearing it would be places I'd probably have to wear a suit to. Uh, or even someplace like a trade show where I would wear a nice watch. I'd wear a suit to a trade show, so, if I got something at that price, I would or something like a good daily wear that's very versatile, like Patek makes some of those. I like their calendar is really nice. The one that kinda looks hand drawn. That's a really nice piece. And that one, you can get away with wearing with a lot of things. Although ironically, I wouldn't wear that one with like a tuxedo. I'd wear it with a suit though. And I haven't worn a tuxedo in a long time. I think since my sister got married years ago. Whatever. But yeah, so but the best advice to follow is your own advice. Look around, hold anything you're gonna spend that much money on, find some place and hold it in your hand if you can, because you don't wanna buy something like that blind. You wanna put it on your wrist, hold it in your hand, make sure that you have an affinity for it, that you feel, you know, about it. You have a good feeling over it, as it were. You've got to love it. Don't ever, ever, ever buy a watch to please other people or to show other people something. Buy it to show yourself something that you enjoy about it. And then if other people like what you did, icing on the cake, but they don't have to like what you're wearing. You have to like what you're wearing. Tap, Bulgari Octo Finissimo chronograph are thin, but I don't wanna see the service cost. Well, yeah, that's a beautiful watch, but yeah, I would hate to have to send that off to the factory. Um, Even like Rolex, oh my god, you could drop, depending on how much they fix, you could look at, 15 to 2,000 on a Rolex repair. If nothing's wrong with it, you're looking closer to 1,000, give or take, but that's still a lot of money, and the Bulgari, I figure, it's gotta be twice that easy, if not 3 times that, because those movements are very, 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 very thin and very highly, decorated and engineered and assembled and all of that other good stuff. Um, I would cringe thinking about what it would cost to fix an Octo Finissimo chrono. Or even a Patek, or even a, JLC, uh, Polaris chrono. That's thin as hell, and it's their 1,000-hour movement, one of that family, that series 1,000 hour, because the Polaris even has a 1,000 hour, but that's just, the level of, quality that they put into those pieces. Um, I would blanch at the cost of getting any high-end thin chrono fixed. Pray that nothing goes wrong with yours. I had to have my, Cartier fixed, my Santos chrono. I had to have that fixed, but that's got a Valjoux 7753 in it, thankfully. It's an older model. The newer ones have an in-house, or a higher level off the shelf, but, they no longer have an ETA movement in them. But the first generation Santos XLs did, and luckily, my local watchmaker could, fix it relatively inexpensively. So, your mileage may vary. Let's see. But yeah, so as far as the marketplace goes, I think that, it is a buyer's market. The market is soft right now, and if you keep your eyes open, you're gonna find some deals. You really are. Let's see, any new comments? We've been rolling for about a half hour. Um, yeah, if there's nothing else going on, I think I'm gonna make it a short evening tonight, 'cause, we ran along last week, and, like I said, if somebody does come up with something, I'll address it, but doesn't look like anything's popping up, so let's go ahead and make it an, early, night tonight, because I got stuff to do next week, and I imagine you all have stuff to do. So thank you so much for taking the time to, pay attention and watch the show. I really appreciate it. Oh, Dr. Bob's Nightmare. Hey, how's it going? Never serviced to watch. My oldest Seiko is 30 years old, still going strong. Well, lucky man. Lucky man. Sometimes, a mechanism can settle in very well, and then it just runs longer and better than a lot of people expect. So, hey, everybody take care. Have a fantastic week, and have a fantastic evening. Oh, I always love to take time for you all. I really do. Have a great one. Bye bye.